We recently got this comment on TikTok. Somebody said, these aren't freezer meals, they're freedom meals.
And it is kind of true. We were thinking about all the ways that having freezer meals in our freezer gives us freedom in our lives.
So much, and like that comment resonated with me. People that don't do freezer meals, which is
probably more people than freezer meals,
don't understand the freedom that comes with it. Like, it's hard to explain it to people, but we're gonna try today.
We're gonna try. All I know is that when my freezer starts running low, I start to get a little bit of anxiety. And it's not just food security, it's the idea of I am going to have to think about what to make for supper, like I did in my before freezer meals life, my BFM. My BMFL, I don't know. And that just gives me a bit of anxiety because when you do freezer meals all the time, you forget what it's like to have to think about, what do we call it? The 4 p.m. dinner dread.
Totally, that moment when you realize I forgot. And it's always that panicky feeling. I don't have that anymore. But more than that, it's those times when things like when you run into a crisis in your life, or when even just the days where you have an appointment that runs too long, or you have a friend that, like, I just found out one of my friends is having surgery soon, and I was able to be like, here you go. I've got 3 weeks of meals that you can have, and they're just here with the cooking instructions. We recently went on a trip, my husband and I, with his work. We went to Jamaica. I know, sad life.
Very sad life.
And so being able to leave and know that my mom, who was staying with our kids, could just grab out a meal, the cooking instructions are right there, and she could cook it up, whether it's, oven, slow cooker, skillet, whatever it is.
She had just gotten home from Jamaica a little while ago, and we hadn't really had our good catch up yet. And my husband was sitting beside me while I'm texting with her, and he's like, you have the cooking instructions on the meals, right? I can go make supper. You go ahead and go with Charla. And we did. We went out and we went out.
Shut the place down.
Well,
okay, not really.
Not quite. But I mean, we got there at 2 and we left at 7, so we kind of would have if we'd have gotten there later. We just hadn't really had a good catch up in a long time, and I did not have to worry about who was feeding my kids, and it just felt really good. And in fact, if it was just my kids home, they're teenagers. They could do it.
I have had those times when I've gotten sick and couldn't even go to get groceries. Well, I don't have to worry about it. I don't need to get groceries. I might run out of milk or bread or those kinds of things, but I've always got the meals. So it's that kind of freedom. Or even like in our life, our family, we've had times when we've had kids who've had to have surgeries, like quite a lot
actually. And the more kids you have, though, the higher the percentages of having to go have hospital stays goes up. So
yeah, and we've had more than our fair share. So, but again, when you've got 7 kids, that those statistics kind of aren't in your favor, I suppose. But again, it's not one of those things where I have to rely on others to bring me the meals, or where I have to be doing skip the dishes, DoorDash, or just not eating, like having popcorn for dinner.
Right.
So it is that freedom and peace of mind. And that's where the freedom comes from, is the peace of mind.
Absolutely. And it even goes beyond that, because then it's just your day-to-day, where I have an appointment this afternoon, I need something quick after work, so I'm going to use a skillet meal because I can have it ready in less than half an hour and on the table. Or we have soccer, and that way my kids aren't eating granola bars in the back seat because, I've been that mom too. I'm not judging those moms. That is totally fine, but you feel like you have it a little bit more together when they've had like real food before you get there, and it feels so good.
So today we took a lot more time than usual to get to the actual meals, because we just wanted to give you a little bit of the why. Like, it's why we do this in our life, but it's also why we teach you to do this, because we want you to experience this freedom.
It's true.
And we want you to know that this is so doable. Like, you can do this. All of you can do this. We have people that are making meals that are in our Facebook group, that are in our Freezer Meals 101 Club. Some of them have physical limitations. They've got arthritis. We've got members who are blind. They are making these meals like it's so empowering because they are able to do this and feed themselves, feed their families, eat what they want to eat. And it's like, it tastes good.
And it tastes good. And it just gives you a bit of control over your life when everything else is falling down around you. And that part feels really, really good.
We've got people who've got chronic pain who cook on the days that
they feel good.
A good day. And then for the days that they don't, the meals are ready. So there's so many reasons to do this. Yes, it saves money, a lot.
Yes, it really does save a lot of money because you can catch sales, you can catch case lot sales and optimize on it. It's so great.
And it saves time, so much time, especially with the fact that, you're not doing dishes you're doing the cleanup, but you're not doing the prep dishes every day. You're just doing them one time.
And you're not even chopping an onion every day because you chopped 6 and now you have 10 meals. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, there's so many reasons.
But for us, the biggest reason, the one we keep coming back to is exactly that. It's the mental space. And that's the thing where that commenter who said these aren't freezer meals, they're freedom meals, hit the nail on the head because that's exactly what it is.
It totally is.
And so today we just chose a random selection of some of our meals, but what we wanted to do was choose a selection where it's kind of the full meal. You don't necessarily need sides with these. You can just make this ahead, and then on the day of, you have everything you need, and you can maybe see through this how easy this would be for you to implement this in your own life. That's it.
That's it.
This first recipe is chili casserole, family friendly, super simple. For this, you're going to brown your beef ahead of time and cool it. Then you're going to add that ground beef into your large freezer bag. You're gonna add some minced onion, canned diced tomatoes, minced garlic, we just use ours from a jar, saves a bit of time, some canned green chilies, a bit of water, chili powder, salt, and pepper. You're gonna squish that all together in your bag, and then you're gonna try to get as much air as you can out of your bag because air is what's gonna cause your freezer burn. So we're always careful about the amount of air that we leave in there. Then we're going to seal it, and we're gonna put some long grain rice in a medium, a quart-sized bag. We're gonna staple those bags together above the seal. That way, on the day you go to cook this, you will have absolutely everything that you need. You're gonna put this into your freezer, lay it flat. On the day you go to make this, you're going to thaw it, and then you're gonna add the large bag contents into a casserole dish, and you're gonna stir in that bag of uncooked rice. You're gonna cover this and bake it for 1 hour at 375. It's really important that you cover it because we had a mistake once where Christy didn't cover hers.
I didn't get the memo. I don't always read my instructions very thoroughly, just saying.
And we discovered that the rice does not cook up properly.
You have to cover it. So if it says covered, you cover it. If your casserole dish doesn't have one, put tin foil on. You need to cover it.
And for this recipe, one of the things we like about it is that it is versatile because you can add canned corn to it. You can sprinkle some cheese on top of it before baking it or towards the end of your baking. And you could sprinkle some cheese and uncover it at the very end if you wanted to just get a little bit of that crisp on your cheese and fully melted and all of that. But it's one of those ones where you could add some hot sauce or some salsa. You could, whatever. It doesn't need a side because it does have the rice in there and some veggies in there, and you could add more with the corn. So this is a all-in-one full meal, and in 1 hour you've got dinner on the table, and in that hour maybe you're able to get some other things done because you don't have to worry about dinner.
So when we are making our freezer meals, we like to keep our like proteins together. So we are starting with the ground beef, we're going to continue on with the ground beef, and then we will finish it and move on to another protein. It saves time, it saves us a little bit of cross-contamination in dishes, and it's just the way we do things. So if we're going to teach you how to do it, we're going to tell you all of our tricks about how to do it. These Tex-Mex stuffed peppers have been in our rotation for a very long time, and they are delicious. Now, there's a little asterisk on these, little caveat. We personally like to have our pepper mix into a fresh pepper. So it says on our label to have fresh peppers on hand for the day of cooking. There are people out there that like to put it into the pepper and freeze the whole pepper just like that, and that is a-okay for them. That's the other beautiful thing about freezer meals. If that is how you want to do it and you don't, we find that they get a little soggy, but if that doesn't bother you at all, go right ahead and do it that way, because it's just saving that much more time on the day of cooking. So to make our stuffing, we're going to take extra lean ground beef in our bag that has been cooked and cooled. We are going to add our diced onion, some minced garlic, frozen corn, a cup of cooked rice. So we've had to do a little bit of prep here, and that's okay. And we're going to add in our tomato sauce and some taco seasoning. We're going to mix that around all together, get out our extra air, seal it up, and freeze it. On the day of cooking, like I said, we're going to have those peppers already ready to go. They can be any color that you want. Sometimes we find it's helpful to take the bottom off so that they sit a little bit more flat, or you can cut them in half lengthwise and empty them out and have them laying on their sides. Well, however you want to do it. Put your stuffing into your peppers, sprinkle some Tex-Mex cheese on it, and into the oven they go. This one is fast. It will be totally cooked at 350 for 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, maybe it's not as fast as like something you'd put in the skillet. Hint, hint, it's coming up. But it is so delicious. Everything about this tastes good. And there are times where if I don't have the peppers, I will still make the rest of the meal because it's so flavorful and it's just nice and easy.
You can do, like Christy was talking about skillet meals, you can do this in the skillet.
You can do that in the
peppers,
skillet.
Or you can chop up some peppers and add it into the skillet, and then it really is ready in 10 minutes because your rice was already cooked, your ground beef was already cooked. So
you just need to soften your onions and get it hot. And wow, is this a really great flavorful meal.
We are moving on from our ground beef to our ground sausage. One of our other suggestions is that if you're doing a lot of meals, now we're only doing 5 today, you could double this and end up with 10, but it's only 5 meals, so you could absolutely do your prep on the same day as making these. But we always suggest that if you're making more than 5 or 7 meals, you do your prep the day before. It breaks things up. It also allows your prepped ingredients to cool before you put them in the bag, and that's important because that also can cause condensation if you put warm ingredients in the bag, which can then lead to frost crystals, freezer burn, things that don't contribute to this tasting amazing. Right. And we like it when your food tastes amazing. We like it when our food tastes amazing.
We're picky, so it's important to us.
Right. And so if you do the prep the day before, it does give you that edge. It also makes it so that you're just less tired. It's a lot more fun. You're prepping one day and just not for very long, right? We're talking for these meals, it'd be like half an hour of prep or whatever, or maybe an hour if you had physical limitations and you had to slow things down, and that's totally okay. And then the next day you're assembling these, and that might be, well, less than an hour.
What else is nice about it is if you did all your prep one day and you want to get your kids involved, but you're not really ready to let them have a knife, then they can help you with assembly day. And they can scoop things into a bag and they will enjoy it. If you have an electric can opener, oh my goodness, your kids will love to do freezer meals. Our kids would beg us to save that until you need your can opener and I'll come and open your cans for you. And we used to sometimes save it. Maybe that's why we saved the corn chowder to the end of the day, because when school was out, they could be there and do the can opener. These ones don't have it. I don't know if they have any canned items. I'm sure there's going to be some tomatoes here somewhere that need some can opening, but that's a great way to get your kids involved.
This can be a whole family affair. So then you're going to cook your sausage because we've got 2 recipes that are going to need browned Italian sausage here. So you've got your browned sausage already prepped now. It is cooked and cooled. And for this gnocchi sausage skillet, which is as delicious as it sounds, you're going to add your cooled, cooked sausage into your freezer bag. Then you're gonna add some potato gnocchi. You wanna use the fresh gnocchi that you can find in the refrigerated section at your grocery store. Then some chopped onion, minced garlic, again from a jar, diced tomatoes, chicken broth, pepper, and basil. Then in a quart-sized freezer bag, you're going to add some shredded mozzarella cheese and shredded Parmesan. You're gonna get as much air as you can out of both of those bags. You're going to seal them and staple them together above the seal. That way you won't have holes in your actual bag. And then on the day of cooking, you're going to thaw this. You're gonna dump the contents of your large bag into a skillet, and you're going to cook this for a whopping 5 to 6 minutes.
Whew.
Then you're gonna stir in fresh spinach just until it's wilted, so that's just a few minutes. And then you're gonna top this with the cheese from that quart-sized bag, cover it, and cook it for 4 to 5 minutes just to allow the cheese to melt. So, let's do some quick math, which I'm not very good at. I think 12 minutes here and you have your full meal. It is ready to eat, and you've even got your spinach in there and your tomatoes in there for some veggies, and I guess the potato from the potato gnocchi. So this one's got everything you need for a pretty balanced meal. You could serve this with a salad, I might.
Yes.
But if you were in a hurry, this is good on its own too.
Or you use a bagged salad, because there's nothing wrong with that either.
We are here to give you the freedom to do things the way that you need to do them to make it work for you.
Absolutely. This next recipe is one-pot skillet lasagna. Now, stay with me for a second because that sounds really weird. It's not layered, and that's okay. We have a lasagna soup that is amazing.
So good.
And so Charlotte, when she made this recipe, just kind of based it off of the soup, and she said, you know, we could make it with ground beef or ground Italian sausage. What do you think? And I'm like, oh, the Italian sausage, because that's how we prefer to make the soup. And my goodness, is this so delicious. And it's really fast because it is done in the skillet and you get all those great lasagna flavors. So I'm gonna show you how.
You just had this the other night, right?
I totally had this the other night, and it was a complete winner. It's a new one to us, fairly new.
For those of you who don't know, Christy and I are neighbors and friends. Christy lives 2 doors that way. And it was such a blessing when she moved in, because at one of our first meetings, she saw some cookbooks that I had that were about freezer cooking. And she was like, do you do freezer meals? And so we ended up making them together. We have now been making them every 3 months for 12 years together.
We think we've made over 6,000 meals. We're experts.
It is.
It just kind of happened that way.
Growing. And so we're going to pop a link right there to our last, we call them mega sessions, the ones where we do every 3 months. And in that last one, that's when we first did this skillet one-pot lasagna. And we've already tried it. We ended up with 2 bags each, so thankfully
Yes.
we've got 1 more to try. I'm bringing mine on a ski trip.
That is exciting. I don't know what I'm gonna save mine for. I probably won't save it. It'll just be one of those days where I look and I'm thinking, no, we've had chicken 3 nights in a row. It is time for something else. And we're gonna take that out, and it's so good. So here we go. In our large freezer bag, we're going to add in our brown sausage that has been cooked and cooled. We're going to add in minced garlic from the jar, minced onions, some salt and pepper, some oregano, basil, rosemary, a little bit of fennel, and some crushed tomatoes. We're going to mix that around in our bag. We're going to get all the excess air out, and we're going to seal that one up. In a medium-sized bag, we are going to add some ricotta cheese, some shredded Parmesan, and some shredded mozzarella. Yes, ricotta cheese freezes, A-okay. We're gonna mix those together around in that bag a little bit, seal that up, and then we're gonna staple the bags together. Please make sure that you staple above the seal when you're stapling your bags together, otherwise you will have a little bit of a mess when you go to thaw it on the day you go to cook this. On the day of cooking, we're going to thaw it without the mess. We're going to add that large bag into a large skillet, and we're gonna add 4 cups of water. We're gonna bring it to a boil and let that get cooking. You're going to add about a pound of small pasta, so like small shell. But I'm gonna tell you what I did. I went to the bulk barn. We have a bulk store in Canada called the Bulk Barn, and in there they have little tiny lasagna noodles.
Really?
They look like individual lasagna noodles, and they're only this big. They look like about the size of a Lego block.
That's so cute.
And it is the cutest darn thing you have ever seen. So I went because I knew I wanted to have the lasagna, and I knew that they were there. So I specifically went to the store for that. And they were in my pantry until the day that I went to make the skillet lasagna. So you're going to add this right into the pot, and then you're going to let it cook. And they didn't tell me how long it would take to cook on my bulk pasta, so I just did the test, and it was about 10 minutes. And then we're going to take that medium bag and we're going to stir that in as well. So then you get this lasagna feel because you got the cheese in there. And I went one step further. This isn't in the recipe, but I chopped up some spinach and added it in because I know when I make lasagna, I like to mix the ricotta with the frozen spinach, that's part of how you make lasagna if you're me. And so I just added it in, and I had chopped it so it wasn't like super wilty or stringy or anything. It was just kind of perfect. And the flavors in this were just right. It really, really, really was a hit. And it looked super cute.
I loved ours. It is this is a recipe that is going to go into the club. It is already on its way on that process. This is so good.
Yes.
One of the things we are kind of known for around here is our sheet pan meals because we don't love dishes. It's just not our favorite thing.
See, there's the one pot. Oh, did you see also the chili casserole was one pot? Oh, the skillet with the gnocchi.
One pot.
Skillet, here we go, one pot.
Are you sensing a theme? So the nice
Even
thing,
the stuffed peppers, really.
Totally. About sheet pans is, one dish and everything's ready at the same time. So this is our chicken asparagus sheet pan. We also made that in that big mega session that we did recently. It is so good. It tastes a little bit fancy. I think it's because of the white wine.
And the olives.
Yes.
Oh, and the asparagus. It's just fancy.
It's fancy.
It's fancy.
And it's good. But don't be afraid, it's easy to make. Into our large freezer bag, we are going to add some boneless, skinless chicken thighs, olive oil, salt, pepper, frozen asparagus, some quartered shallots because we're so fancy, some minced garlic, thyme, white wine, Dijon mustard, salt, and pitted mixed olives. Gonna squish that all together a little bit just to combine it. You're gonna get as much air as you can out of the bag, seal it, freeze it. On the day you go to cook this, you thaw it and you just dump the whole bag contents onto your baking sheet. You can line it with parchment paper or foil if you wanna make cleanup even easier. And then you're gonna add a cup of baby tomatoes on there and just stir it so that the baby tomatoes get some of that sauce on them. You bake this at 400 for 25 minutes. That's it. I like to broil it for just 2 minutes at the end so that you get a little bit of caramelization char on the tomatoes and the chicken, but you don't have to do that. You could serve this on its own, or you could serve it with rice, or if you want, you could half some baby potatoes and add those to the baking sheet before you put this in the oven. Again, stirring to combine that into the sauce, and then your meal would be complete and done.
It is so true and so easy. And I think we have just shown you that freezer meals can be fancy food. It doesn't all just mean casseroles and soups. It really is such a big variety, and it just makes it so easy. We feel free.
So I hope that you enjoyed this Freedom Meals installment. It was a little bit of a different video that was inspired by that one comment that really got us thinking about all the ways that freezer meals have brought us that sense of freedom over the years. I think it really is, though, in those times of unexpected crisis, unexpected, things that happen, even like I said, just an appointment runs late, or your car breaks down, or those kind of things too. But sometimes it really is a death in the family, or a child being hospitalized, or you yourself getting sick. And I've been sick twice this year, for extended periods, which is not normal for me. And both times were made so much easier because I had the meals done.
Right, and I'm her best friend, and I'm sitting over there saying, I don't know how to help her because I can't bring her meals. Because that's not going to help her.
But but you've helped plenty. And if you really want dinner freedom, then we invite you to check out the Freezer Meals 101 Club. You can find the link for that in the description below, because the club is what enables you to sort of take even more of that mental space away, because it creates your shopping lists, your prep lists, and those printable labels with the date and cooking instructions on them. It also allows you to filter by cooking method, by protein, by diet, by all these, really easy click of a button things, which we love, but really it's just our way of making this actually doable for you.
So check out the link below or have a look at freezermeals101.com and see it there.
We're gonna pop a video right there to that mega session where we made 156 meals.
We really, really did. It was a lot.
It was fun.
I feel so free.
We're very free now.
Very free.
Thank you so much for being here with us today, and happy cooking.
Bye.